When music is as much about process as product, how do you capture that process? How do learners share what they've done off the page? And how do you capture performances in a way that lets you review them later? When learners can't be in class, how do you see what they've created? Well, today we're looking at FlipGrid, a solution to just these situations. Hi guys, I'm Anthony and this is EdTechMusic, where we look at delivering classroom music with more engagement and fun through technology. Today we're looking at FlipGrid, a video messaging solution from Microsoft. FlipGrid is a video messaging service primarily, split into discussions, first of all organised by group and then inside groups into topics. For each topic, you're setting up tasks that can be done by learners. Let me click on one of these. Here's an example of a task. So in here, I've set up a task to be completed and I've chosen to make a video introduction. One of the best features about FlipGrid is that the teacher has the account, but the pupil does not. So clicking on the Share button generates a link straight to this code, which learners can then use to access it. They don't have to have an account themselves, so you're not sharing private school information. It's absolutely possible to make a task without uploading or recording your own video, and lots of teachers choose to do this. However, I would recommend getting used to doing this for two reasons. Firstly, it definitely raises the engagement for learners when they see and hear their own teacher telling them what to do. And secondly, it allows you to demonstrate what is to be done. So how do learners join a discussion? Well, they can click on the link that you've given them, or they can click on this link on the website, enter a join code, and then paste the code straight into there. How do you join FlipGrid? Well, FlipGrid is completely free to educators, so you need to join either with your Google login or your Microsoft login, or you can sign up directly with an email address. Once you're signed in, you return to that discussion view. Let's see what else there is. Well, if I click on Discovery, this allows me to access the library of all of the resources made available within the community of FlipGrid. You can see there are all sorts of topics and projects all ready to be used. If I use the search tool, for example, something very broad like music, you can see it returns a large number of topics that I can choose from to use myself. Let's, for example, choose this sing-along. And here it's going to take me straight to a YouTube video that I might want to use for the task, as well as the instructions that are pre-written. It also gives me an idea of the intended audience and subject by which it's sorted. If I click Save to Collection or Add Topic, I can now use that directly myself for my learners without having to create one myself. So there's a big library of already made content that I can use and edit for my own needs. Activity is a summary of all my achievements. Mixtapes allows me to make collections of the best responses from learners to share back to them. Shorts gives you a really simple and fast way to record short videos that you can then embed in other locations. And Grid Pals allows you to connect with other educators around the world and see what they have shared and share your content to them as well. So what is FlipGrid great for? Well, I think it's great for three clear things. First of all, sharing original video content to learners, your own lesson introductions and explanations. Secondly, for allowing video responses from learners. They can video their process, their task work, they can video their explanation of what they've done, they can video their final performances. And thirdly, screen sharing. Learners can share the screen of what they're doing, if they're doing it digitally, and record that as their response to you, which opens up a whole new way for learners to share their process back to you. You can also screen share during your recording, as well as add annotations and emoji and other artwork to it to really bring it to life. So I'm just going to double back to FlipGrid Shorts for a minute as a way to show you the process and also how simple this is. Shorts are great because it lets you record a short video that you can embed anywhere, totally separate to your FlipGrid discussions. So let me click a video, to record, and you can see this is the window that pops up no matter what type of video you're doing. Here you can see it's picked up a separate camera that I've got set up because I can't talk to you through the same camera that I'm demonstrating with. And let's have a look what we get down here. So if I click on options, I have the option to upload a clip that I've already recorded. I can mirror this video and flip it to the other side. I can also mute it, and I could record my screen instead. Let me click on Effects, and you can see here I get the ability to add filters, frames, emoji, text on top, to draw straight on the screen, to have a whiteboard tool that I use as part of my recording, or add photos. And if I click flip, it lets me choose between the other cameras that I've got set up. So a really solid, simple screen sharing and videoing tool that you can then embed in other things afterwards. On a FlipGrid short, you have a 10-minute limit on what you can record currently, but these facilities change quite often and gradually do go up. If I hit record, you can see it's going to count down the recording. So I can record what I want to introduce straight to camera here, and when I've finished the recording, it'll let me pause or stop. And then again, you can see afterwards, I still have these facilities there. I can go back and redo if I'm not happy with the recording. And you can see it's brought up this video editing tool. So what can I do here? Well, initially, the first thing I can do is to cut off the beginning up to the point that I don't need, and cut off the end after the point I don't need. And that tool in itself is really, really useful, and then delete that clip. Something else I can do, which is useful, is I can add more on top, or I've got this option in the top corner just to straight out download the video. So I don't actually have to ever hit FlipGrid's library with it. I can just straight away download it for myself if I want to, which again is a really nice little extra perk in there. And then the last thing I can do is confirm what I want the cover photo to be. So I can select a frame. Let's find something cheerful. I can also take a selfie with the camera right now, or I could upload another photo that I've already created. And once I confirm that, it then will upload my video straight away. And here it is in my library of shorts ready to use. That's the whole process of FlipGrid. We've just done it through shorts, and we'll have a little look at how we can apply it to discussions with topics in a minute too. So let me give you some examples of the various ways I found FlipGrid really useful. Example 1 is for a group performance task. For example, a really nice one is kind of through the jungle percussion task, isn't it? Where they think about the areas of the jungle or something like that, and the music changes, which instruments they use, the different speeds and textures and timbres they use change as they move through the jungle. And that's a really nice graphic score task. I did a video on graphic scoring with body percussion last week, you might want to check out, and I intend doing a lot more on graphic scoring because it's really, really powerful. So in that context, where they've worked on a shared graphic score that represents the parts of the journey, when they record it, you may just have to have one device in class, whatever type of device it is. They can either record from FlipGrid in the browser, or for a lot of devices, there's a dedicated FlipGrid app that they could be using. And then they can point the camera at their group, live do the performance and record their group performing with whatever instruments they're using, whether it's tuned instruments, whether it's the untuned instruments that you have in maybe a classroom cupboard. And then when they've recorded it, they share that back to you on the grid that you've made ready for it. So example 2 is about composition. And in this example, your pupil or student works on paper, maybe following a graphic score or some notation work that you've set up. They create their composition on paper, and then they live share it back to you and perform it via the webcam and record that way. As a reminder, let's dip back into The Element by Ken Robinson that I mentioned to you last week, which is a really good read around not just education, but anybody trying to find their element, the thing that lights them up and that they can succeed in. My absolute favourite quote from the book is this one. He says, "In my experience, most people have a narrow view of intelligence, tending to think of it mainly in terms of academic ability. This is why so many people who are smart in other ways end up thinking that they are not smart at all. There are myths surrounding creativity as well." And I think that's really useful in the context of FlipGrid, because FlipGrid helps us to develop different ways to impart the tasks to children to do, but also a range of ways for them to feed back what they have been working on on. Not just that final product, although it does that really well, but also the process and the thinking behind it. I want to share this one with you as well. Education is the system that's supposed to develop our natural abilities and enable us to make our way in the world. Instead, it is stifling the individual talents and abilities of too many students and killing their motivation to learn. There's a huge irony in the middle of all of this. Well said, Ken. And I think it's a really good point, isn't it, that actually in relation to what we're looking at today, FlipGrid, you can really open up the possibilities for your learners by giving them this diverse way to share back their learning to you. I never miss a chance to pull out Bloom's taxonomy. So let's have a little look again and just think about this in the context of how those top higher order thinking skills to do with creating, and under that evaluating and analysing what we've done, are so important. I think FlipGrid really helps us contribute to this by enforcing the importance of creativity and allowing learners to evaluate their work and present it back at the same time. So example 3 is where the learner creates something digitally using a device or a browser app, whatever it is, and then they share that content back to you in FlipGrid via the screen sharing tool. And this one to me is really exciting because this opens up not just a way to show and narrate what's going on as the performance is played back, but also to pause, to comment on it, for learners to talk over the top of what they're doing to explain why they were doing it, and to do proper introductions and conclusions as part of the performance of the recording as well. And that's really interesting because we can apply that to a huge number of different tools. So let's see what this could look like. Here in Google Slides or PowerPoint, depending on your flavour, learners can narrate and perform their composition using the mouse to direct through the composition as they perform it. This kind of audio performance is great fun. And this opens up leveraging the power of all sorts of online tools as well. Here from Charanga Musical School, this interactive percussion creator online allows you to create your own graphic score and move around different icons that represent the various sounds. By playing this back as part of the recording in FlipGrid, the learner can then narrate this. They can talk through why they've made the decisions they have and how it fits each part of the music, pausing and stopping along the way as they want to. This works really well with narration as well. Here we are in Finale Notepad, the free version of Finale's professional software. And we can look here at how you can set up notation and share it to the screen, and then perform this using the transport controls up here, and narrate what you're doing here and why you've made those decisions. It's a really great way to share this to learners, but again for them to share back to you. So a video about Finale Notepad and how powerful this is will be coming along soon as well. This works really well with sound walks as well. So here I am in BandLab with some sounds that I've recorded from my local area, seagulls from the beach, waves breaking, all sorts of things like that, that I can then layer into a linear performance or layer them on top of each other like this, and then present that back digitally as well. And again, here we go in BandLab with this example loops composition that has that typical upside down pyramid structure that we often use to teach learners how to introduce sounds gradually and then exit sounds gradually at the end of a section of a piece of music. And here we are in old favourite Audacity, just to labour the point and look at how a range of browser-based or desktop apps can be used to share things back to FlipGrid videos. And of all whiteboard apps, I think OneNote probably has the greatest capacity to be used for graphic scoring. So here's an example of a similar graphic score that we looked at in Google Slides, just translated using some of the very basic tools in OneNote. Definitely more on OneNote in the future, as my day job largely revolves around Office 365, Microsoft Teams and OneNote. So stand by for that too. Once we're using the Share to Screen tool, actually it opens a huge amount of other opportunities as well. So example 4 is about presenting research back to your teacher. In this context, the student will complete a task. Maybe they've been researching Samba, for example, and they're then going to make a presentation and share it back to the teacher, not just by reading it, but by sharing the presentation itself at the same time. So I've borrowed this text from Wikipedia, and here let's have a look at how I could put it into a presentation and share that back. So here you can see that Wikipedia text I've dropped into a PowerPoint presentation, and the student or pupil can share their presentation, talking through what they've done, give the presentation live, but actually share it either like this or in presenter view, like this, back to their teacher, talking through it and going through and taking their time to narrate and read as they do. So example 5 is to upload a performance. Here you can use the options tool to upload clip, and then instead of having to record live, you can drag and drop a video onto here that you've already recorded and share it that way. You can record it on the camera on your device and then upload it later. So this could work for all sorts of live performances, concerts, maybe situations where a more portable, smaller device is easier to use. So if you can't remember, here's a quick reminder on how to share the screen. From options, you go to screen record, there, and capture your screen. And then choose which of the screens you want to record. And from here, you can then choose the screen that you want to present to the recording. And something I can do is take this video that I'm recording at the same time, drag that onto the screen that I'm recording. Here you can see I've got more than one monitor set up, and then that gets recorded too. So now here in the final version, you can see I've got the camera that I'm recording at the same time as recording the desktop, which is a really nice feature. So this takes me on to example use 6, using the live whiteboard. Let's click on record a video again, and this time, there we go, it's come up with that camera that we're using separately. Instead of going to here and recording the screen or uploading the clip, I'm going to go to effects, and these effects are worth playing with because they really add value and great fun. But if I click on board, then here I can choose to have all sorts of whiteboards. Let's choose a graph paper, that's often useful for music. As well as other things. And then here, this split screen tool is fantastic because now, just like before, I might want my camera on it because I might want to demonstrate some techniques, particularly with instruments, but I also want this big whiteboard space that I can write on. So now I've done that, you can see I'm finding the balance between how much screen I want and how much camera I want. Let's rotate into it, there we go. So now I can talk to camera, demonstrate what I want to do, and use the whiteboard tools at the same time. So now that I've got this tool open, let's go for something exciting. And now I could demonstrate the same sort of graphics score tools I was doing before. Or if I want to, I can start to think about notating an idea and modeling it. Again, with effects, I've got the option of a photo. So I could add a custom sticker over the top of this that might be the piece of music that I've already created, and then I can have that on screen next to what I'm doing at the same time. With the add photo tool, you can see I can now drop all sorts of other images onto the page that add a lot more value. Once here, for both learners and for teachers, modelling processes like this, being able to have the camera on at the side and demonstrate it adds real value too. Now we can add other tools with the draw tool and start to think about how we can improve this. Let's hope a notation background is added soon, that's one to request. So as a bonus, let's look at mixtapes. Mixtapes do exactly what it says on the tin, just like when you were small and you used to make tapes off the radio or make mixtapes or mix CDs of songs, you can do the same here. So if I create a mixtape with that button, I can then give it a title and a code I want people to use to join it. Once I've done that, I can choose from any of the videos that people have previously uploaded. So if I click on recent activity, it'll let me choose any videos that have previously been uploaded that I can add here. So any video by any learner can be included in the mixtape by choosing Add to Mixtape here. You share your mixtape to others in the same way as any other topic. From the share button, it then gives you that link that you can then copy and paste wherever you're sharing it. So finally, let's look at how to make a topic to share to learners. We click the Add a Topic button from the discussion area, And here now we get the create a topic layout, where I can give it a title, the instructions, which it calls prompt, and you can see I've got some simple formatting tools. Here I could just write the task that I want learners to do. If I don't want to actually record my own video, that still works. Remember, it's more about that learners can share back video content and screen share content, especially, rather than that you can. I can control how long their video is allowed to be. So take it right down to very short if I want something very concise, or allow them to return much longer recordings. The captions that are automatically put in place I can choose as well, and I can choose whether I want this to be moderated in terms of whether I allow others to see it before I've checked it. At this point, you then have a choice of the different media that you can attach. So the one that is most often used is to straight out record a video. We can upload a video. We could add a link to a video from other recognised video sources, upload a single image or a GIF or an emoji, and then you can see there's other providers that we can link into where we can choose content from their services as well. Below that then, the last part of this is to consider the access control. Who is allowed to view and contribute to this topic? And here I've got student email, so students join using their Microsoft or Google School email, or a username, in which case I can allow it to use a list of new usernames that I provide. Now, student email is slightly confusing in terms of what that does, because this doesn't mean that students log in terms of making an account on FlipGrid with videos that they then host there. It just means it's how they authenticate, or how it checks that they're allowed in. So in this box here, I can then type the domain names. Here you can see it's giving us the end of email addresses like school.edu for the school email addresses that I want to be allowed in. So just by providing the domain name, as in the bit after the @ for your school, you can then prove that only students that have those email addresses can log in and no one else will be allowed to. The third option is to use guest password, which is add a password for families and guests to join the topic. So in this way, if I just provide a password, I don't need to do either of these things, and just having the password, there we go, it now lets me put one in, is enough to get into the grid. Let's add more options. So down here, I can add additional attachments if I want to. And I can change the status of the topic and when it's scheduled if I want to provide something like an assignment that's only available for a limited time. Here I can control whether I allow my learners to download and share their videos, and control how often people are notified about the content. You can see, having clicked that drop down, I now get an awful lot more tools, because here I've got things to do with the features of the video as well, and what tools I allow the learners to use, and also the level of feedback that is available on this FlipGrid board as well. And something that I'm really pleased to see come across as well, custom feedback. Build and assign custom feedback rubrics based on the needs and qualifications of your classroom. So if I choose that, then I can now provide criteria, much in the way as Teams assignments, if you're using that in Office 365, that lets me now identify what make the different levels of attainment for this task. And then when I mark the task, this is going to speed that up as well, because it's going to mean that I just choose from the criteria I've set, rather than having to grade and write responses in each case. And finally, create topic. Remember, if I hadn't expanded all of this content up here, I'd have been able to choose create topic right from this point. So you only really need to go below that line if you have particularly different things that you want to do. So I'm hoping there I've shown you all the different ways that FlipGrid is really useful, not just for sharing content to learners and helping them in a really visual way to know what to do, but also to provide a range of different methods that they can then share their work back to you, perform to you, and present their work in music too. So down below in the description, I've linked to all of the resources that I've shared today that are now on the website. If you do hit that up, I'm hoping you might subscribe to the newsletter as well. And there's a couple of videos coming up now as well that you might want to watch too. If you've got value out of this video, please do hit the like button to help others find it, and consider subscribing too. Thanks for watching.